modest origin. Lépine had quickly given up law for administration, serving in Saint-Étienne as prefect of the Loire. The Prefecture of Police of Paris had been created in 1800 and charged with all that concerns the police in the widest possible sense. Louis Lépine's post was therefore an important position in the hierarchy of power in France. This position enabled him, as it had his predecessors, to intervene arbitrarily, forcefully, and sometimes secretly on the edge of illegality in the investigation of crimes, ordering arrests and searches as he pleased, dipping into an enormous drawer of secret funds that enabled him to pay off informers and police spies. Lépine knew how to manipulate the municipal council of Paris. He had staked his reputation on his ability to prevail in negotiations with anyone who might check his power. He imagined himself to be the king of Paris, or the commander by divine right, imposing military discipline on his agents, his brigades, and his administration. As he sat behind his large desk, with his mustache and short beard, invariably wearing a dark suit and tie, matched by a black top hat when he went out, Lépine had no idea who might have carried out the audacious attack on the courier who worked for Société Générale, but his attention soon turned to the possibility that anarchists were involved. The next morning, in their small apartment in plebeian Belleville, Victor Kibalchich, the Brussels-born anarchist son of Russian émigrés, and his companion Rirette Maître-Jean, a fellow anarchist who had come to Paris from her village in central France, read in the newspapers about the dramatic, bloody theft and getaway. Victor immediately thought of someone who might have done it, a certain Jules Bonneau, whom Victor and Rirette had recently met in anarchist circles. He is crazy enough to have done that. Victor and Rirette read the descriptions of the perpetrators. For her part, Rirette doubted that a man whom eyewitnesses described as being small with a thin mustache could have been Bonneau. Victor disagreed, and another accomplice had been described as seeming very young, not very big, wearing a martingale raincoat, a melon-shaped hat, binnacles, and with a face of baby-like rose complexion. Victor immediately recognized Raymond Calmin, once a close friend from his youth in Brussels. Eyewitness accounts led Victor to believe that another Belgian, a violent anarchist named Octave Garnier, was one of the 4 or 5 men whom passers-by had seen in the car. Victor and Rirette realized that although they had absolutely nothing to do with the holdup, completely disagreed with such violent acts, and had long since distanced themselves from this small faction of anarchists, this could be bad for them. They were already known to the authorities because of the anarchist paper they ran, L'Anarchist. The police had been on to them for years, waiting for an opportunity to silence them, and Victor and Rirette knew that if Calmin, Garnier, and Bonneau were behind the brazen holdup, there would be more violent attacks in Paris. Part 1. Chapter 1. The Good Old Days in Paris. In the first decade of the 20th century, foreign-language guidebooks saluted the sheer beauty of Paris. One touring book described Paris as the beautiful city, which for ages has been recognized as the chief capital of Europe. Parisian newspapers celebrated the permanent spectacle of Baron Georges Haussmann's Grand Boulevard, centers of conspicuous consumption that had been created when the city was remade in the 1850s and 1860s. The iron balconies along Paris's boulevards symbolized the Second Industrial Revolution, a transformation characterized by steel, iron, and, increasingly, electricity. Guidebooks emphasized the boulevards and their grand cafes, not the city's soaring Gothic churches. The Third French Republic, first proclaimed in 1870 and lasting until 1940, celebrated the city as a showcase of a happy modernity. This would be the capital of the wealthy, not the unlit, crowded streets of plebeian Paris, or the tiny apartments that...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.